Grace and peace. Welcome to spreadingtruthministry.com on YouTube. And thank you so much for listening. This is the review, recap, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be kind of a condensed version of a recap of Preachers of LA, episode 4. I just wanted to get it out the way. Episode 3 was kind of late, so I figured that I'll stay up and watch it and do the recap. And that's it, so we can get it done. Amen. Let's go right into it. The episode began with, of course, all the preachers kind of giving their little excerpts of their message. And I just have to say this before I go into the actual episode. I have to make a comment about what Pastor Bishop McClendon said in his little excerpt. It was in the beginning when the preachers was, like they took segments of their message and they kind of just began to like quote and cite, that type of thing. And so he said that it wasn't what you do that makes you a sinner. And I began to say, well, according to the Bible, that's not true. According to the Bible, that sin is a transgression against the law. The only way you can transgress the law is if you do something against the law or break the law. So it is what you do that makes you a sinner. He was saying something like it's something about your spiritual condition or something like that. No, it's your physical condition. It begins on the outside. It depends on what it is that you're doing. But yes, it can involve your spirit, man. It can involve your thought process, but it definitely involves what you do. It's the manifestation of it, because just like Jesus said, you can commit adultery within your heart, which is your mind, by your thoughts. But it begins with your thoughts, but the actual act is the manifestation of what you already want to do. The same thing, but it is what you do. It is a spiritual condition. However, it's what you do that pushes it to the next level. So I just had to say that right away. That kind of bothered me a little tad bit. Anywho, the episode began with Minister Haddon. He went to the park to pick up his baby. He met his mother-in-law to be at the time, and he basically shares with her the good news. And he was so excited. He was dancing around the park or whatever. About his good news, and she was wanting to know what it is. I love her. She's so brass, but she's funny to me. I love his mother-in-law to be. She's funny. But anyway, he started dancing about, and he shared that he has a new house. He has a new home for his family, and he's all excited. And she's like, "What do you mean when y'all get married, right?" He was like, "Of course," and it was just so funny, but I thought that was a cute moment. So he picked up the baby and he went on to handle his business for the day. Next, it was Bishop Gibson, and he was at his home, and basically he had called a meeting with his wife and his sister and his mother. And the whole meeting was regarding a planning of an intervention of his sister Sean, who's strung out on drugs. And so during that meeting, they wanted to address the issue. They wanted to address, I guess, the plan, the approach that they were going to take to kind of get her out of that situation and just to get her away from, the environment so they can talk to her about potentially going into rehab. And so, that was a very moving piece. That whole piece throughout this episode was very moving. And basically he was just saying how dangerous it's going to be. They're going to go into a drug house basically to get her out of there. And he just didn't know what the dangers were going to be. And he, of course, obviously he's extra cautious because he's taking his wife, which is his love, and he's taking his sister, which, whom he loves. So, it's a very scary situation, but this is where it is. And so he's just going to trust and believe God for divine protection in that particular situation. Next is Bishop McClendon's story. Basically, he's meeting with Farnsworth. You guys remember? I forgot the name of that show. He was like helping out some people. I don't know if it was like a guys. It was like helping guys become gentlemen or whatever. I forgot the name of that reality show he had did. I don't know a lot about him, but I do know that he's kind of famous or whatever. But he met with him and his new family. He has a baby girl. He's married. It was mentioned in Bishop Clinton's conversation that he did marry them. He performed the ceremony, and also when he like met with them and greeted them, he talked about, I guess the baby was like prophesied or something. I guess he might have spoke regarding the baby coming prior to them having the baby, that type of thing. And so anyway, he gave the hugs or whatever. The wife left, and he began to share with him regarding the security breach that he was having and the issues regarding the stalkers and whatever the security issues that he was having. And what was interesting is that they were dressed the exact same way. So I don't know who bit who style, but they definitely had on the same outfit that day. So that was kind of funny. Anyway, the next was Minister Dietrich Haddon's segment, and basically they showed his fiance. Basically, he showed his fiance his house. Okay, first of all, he told her to, shut her eyes. He wanted to surprise her with the house and everything. And so he showed her the home. Well, I guess the realtor came in and showed her, gave her a tour of the house. And very beautiful home, nice, spacious, 6 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms. That's a lot of bathrooms. A lot of bathrooms, 6 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms. I guess every bedroom has its own bathroom. Wow. And then maybe an extra one for guests or something. I don't know. But anyway, nice. I guess he said what sold him was the walk-in closet, the wardrobe. That was hot. So most definitely enjoyed seeing that beautiful home. And so she was definitely excited. She was definitely pleased with the house. And so they had a conversation on the side. But basically, he was saying that he can't see himself moving into this home without her and the baby. And, he believes that God blessed them out of order. And so they might as well just go ahead and take it to the next level and basically elope, tie the knot. And so she agreed finally. I mean, he kind of talked her into it, saying that it's just he just can't see himself. And I think maybe after she's seen at home, she kind of did not want to not be with him either. So she did agree with the private ceremony. The only part that I did not necessarily agree with him, and when he said God bless him out of order. No, God will allow us to make decisions and we'll suffer the consequences for them decisions, but he can also take the things that Satan meant for our bad, and they can be meant for, God can turn them around and they can be good. You know what I'm saying? They can be good. So I would not necessarily say you being in adultery and in fornication was a blessing. I can say that God can somehow, through forgiveness, repentance, turn it out to make something good. Now, the baby coming into the world, that's of God. You can't, even if you wanted to, there's people that's trying to get pregnant, they can't. So obviously that is a definitely God move. You know what I mean? So, again, God can take situations and circumstances and he can make something good come out of it. And we've seen that. We've seen it with David and Bathsheba. Of course, the baby did not live, but he eventually married her, took her on as another wife, and got her pregnant again with Solomon. And God chose Solomon to be the next king. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, definitely there are situations, even in the Bible, where God can turn some things around. So, I mean, I agree with that. But don't say God's blessing in your mess, because I don't agree with that. But God can definitely rain upon you and have mercy upon you. And I really believe that in that situation, that's what had occurred. I mean, I sense the love between them two. He seems to be very genuine about her and the love that he feels for her and she for him. So, yeah. So that's pretty much what happened there. Next, it was Bishop McClendon. He had a meeting with his security staff because there was a security breach while he was, I guess, at one service. I guess the person that basically threatened to kill him got as far as maybe an area where the servers or people that serve him or whatever is usually at. And I guess the person lied and said that he was a family member. So that was a huge security breach. And I mean, I can totally understand why he would want to meet with his staff and to address the issue, because that's something that you don't drop that kind of ball, especially if somebody's threatening to kill you. I think you need to hire, I don't know if they're professional cops or whatever. I don't know what kind of background they have in security. I'm hoping that there are some retired cops there, you know what I'm saying, or someone that actually knows how to do security. You know what I mean? So prayerfully he got the right kind of situation. I'm imagining he does, but that doesn't make sense for someone to get. Maybe he needs to hire a professional bodyguard that's going to be by his side or whatever. That will, especially his son's children, because I mean, it's very shaky. So our prayers go out. Like I said, I don't know. That's kind of crazy. I've never heard of that before up until this time. So that's definitely different. Next was Bishop Gibson and his wife and sister. They go meet his sister at her house, at this dope house, I guess, that she's living in. She's staying in a room there, to pick her up, to take her to a neutral location to discuss with her maybe some options for rehab. So they pick her up, and of course there's a little bit of drama because she's high, and it's so sad. She was high at the time, and she admitted that she was sick because of the dope that she had took. So basically, she probably just got through shooting up or whatever when they came, and she admitted it openly that she was high, and she admitted openly that she was sick because of the dope that she just took. And so she wasn't as cooperative as probably as what they wanted her to be, but she did listen and she did go along with them. In the meanwhile, they said, well, where are you taking? She was asking, where are you taking me? And they were taking her to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. I gotta check Roscoe's out because I've heard some good things about Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. I gotta check them out. But anyway, they went there. But en route there, she decided to call the dope dealer to share with the dope dealer where she was going. Wrong move. She called, and of course they tried to interrupt the conversation or whatever, but she told the dope dealer exactly where she was. And so anyway, they were just trying to reach out to her. They got her some food, whatever, at the restaurant, and the dope dealer showed up. And so of course Bishop Gibson, was like, wait a minute, hold up, you're not coming up in here, trying to stir up no nothing. So he stood up, to let him know that, you need to leave like ASAP. And so the brother, he did leave. He didn't give no trouble or anything like that. But I think, just like Bishop Gibson said, that I think the dope dealer did slide or something. You know what I mean? So, and she explained that basically, she's sick, so they're there to help her, give her medicine. And Lady Gibson was like, no, no, no. You know that what they're giving you isn't medicine. You know what I'm saying? We have to be honest. And it's true. They're not giving you medicine. They're giving you poison. That's exactly what they're giving you, poison. So they talked to her, about going to rehab, and then basically was encouraging her in that direction. Next, Minister Haddon, which that again is sad. Next, Minister Haddon meets with his brother at this suit store, since he decided, they decided that this is something that they want to do, but they wanted to talk to Dominique's mom before they go ahead with the private ceremony, because they needed a place to do it. And so he meets at the store to look at tux and whatnot. And during the viewing of the suits and things that they had available, he expressed to his brother, regarding, his desire to go ahead and elope. And his brother right away was like, no, you got to do things right, and what will dad say, and whatever. So I think the conversation let Dietrich know that basically, if he's going to do the elope thing, then he's got to do it without his family knowing, because he feels like if his family would have been aware of him doing it in advance like that they may not come to the main ceremony that they're still trying to plan to do. They may bail out because they'll just be like, well, you already did it, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because of everything, of how everything happened, his family is not in agreement with everything that occurred, by him having the baby outside of wedlock, etc. And so I think the conversation with his brother forced him to make that decision, just to exclude them out of their private ceremony. And so, again, told Dominique, and Dominique was in total agreement. Yep, and she was in total agreement with the whole thing. And so, moving right along. Next, with Bishop Gibson's sister, they took her to the rehab center so that she can do the intake and go ahead and get in there and get started with her program. And, she again resisted, but at the same time she went along. And he was like basically saying that, he thanked God that his wife and his sister was there. And, just like God said, goodness and mercy will follow you all the days of your life. And he felt like in that situation, that's exactly what they were. And he just believed that the situation with the rehab, that this is going to be a test for his sister to see if she's really serious about her recovery. And so I guess only time will tell in that situation. But it looks promising. She did go in. She didn't have to, obviously, because she's an adult. So, but she went in and she signed herself in and she went through the process. So maybe this is going to be the time when she receives the deliverance that she needs or begins the process. Next, Bishop McClendon decides to tell his sons about the challenges that he's been having with security, stressing that they should be careful, not to be paranoid, but careful, and they don't have to be afraid, but this is what's going on. And so he goes on to explain everything that's been happening, etc. And it's so funny because the younger son that was there was like, okay, can I have pizza? I just thought that was funny because he was like, okay, next. So whatever. So my prayers are for them for real, because again, that's a dangerous situation. And so whatever he's doing, maybe he can somehow straighten that out, because I don't know. I've never heard that before. I mean, I know they tried to kill Jesus, but that's because he was supposed to die. So I that's different. I don't know. But anyway, I have to keep them in prayer. But it's so sad. So sad. Um, anyway, next is Dietrich Haddon, Minister Haddon. He asked Dominique's mom if it was okay, number one, to go ahead and marry her ahead of time, in that private ceremony, and if they could do it at her house, because basically nobody else is going to know. And so, she asked questions about his family and, about the other ceremony. Is that going to happen and that type of thing? And he's like, well, he would rather not tell them, because if he told them, he don't think they're going to be in agreement with it. And if he wants something he really want to do, and he's like, if he tells them, they may not come to the main ceremony, because we want to still have that, because we still, want to celebrate, at least with our friends and family, our marriage. And so I think the mother agreed, like, that's fine. As long as y'all get married, she was totally fine with it. And so she wanted to be there as a witness. I thought she is so cute to me. She tickles me. And so she agreed that they can have it over to her house. Next was Bishop Gibson. He preaches. This segment was about him actually preaching a segment of a sermon about his experience regarding his sister and her being on drugs. And sometimes you just got to tell your testimony. You got to share your experience, because it's going to help somebody else. And so somebody else may have a family member that's strung out, or whatever, and that gave them hope. You know what I'm saying? So he spoke that hope, that life. I mean, I felt the hope in his message, and the fact that he was really excited at what God was doing in the life of his sister. And he's so glad that he was kind of like questioning, is like, why did it take this long? But God's time is perfect. So if this is God's time for her to come out, we can't question God's timing. But he said that we have to get to the point that we have to strive to save other people, to the point where we have to snatch them out the fire. And I love that scripture, because some people will have to literally be snatched out the fire, that they're not going to come out on their own. It's going to take somebody to get them out. And so I thought that was a beautiful moment right there, and very encouraging to the congregants there. And so I'm happy for his sister, and I pray that her rehab experience is successful. Next, it was Dee Haddon's private ceremony. Minister Haddon and Dominique's private ceremony. Sister Dominique, they were at her mom's house. And I thought it was nice that his assistant tried to make, try to decorate or whatever. He used some tree lights, and, they were coming together. He had his friend, I guess, another minister, a licensed clergyman, I would imagine, with the city. He came and he performed the ceremony, and Minister Haddon expressed how nervous he was and how he was having butterflies, which to me, kind of was a telltale that he really was very serious about what he was going to do. That this was not just I want sex. You know what I'm saying? Because some people want to get married because they want to have sex. Let's just keep it real. But I think I think that in his heart of hearts, he really does love her, and that he really wants to be with her and his family. And I think that's just something he's just got to have, and he won't rest until it happens. And so for him to appease him, to make life comfortable for him, I think that that's why she went along with it, just to satisfy him. And so, he expressed about having butterflies and like, this is serious, this is real. And, she was definitely in the moment as well. And it's so funny when it was like, who gives away, whatever the mother was like, I do. I was like, it was so funny the way she said it. I was like, oh my goodness. So the only people that was there was him, Dominique, the mother, his daughter, his assistant, and the officiant, the person that conducted the ceremony. So anyway, they exchanged their vows, and they didn't have the ring yet because he's still, I guess, it's still being worked on or whatever. It's not ready yet for the actual ceremony. This is a private eloping that they were doing. So they decided to use yarn to tie on their fingers, which I thought was a very cute idea. Very humble ceremony. They had on regular clothes. You know what I'm saying? It was no glitz, no glamour, no glam, nothing. It was just them two before God in the presence of the minister. And you can tell that there was a genuine sincerity in that little ceremony. And I was happy for them. I was happy for them. They kissed, and it's so funny because he was like, yeah, it's time I get the keys to the house, mama, and this and that. She was like, you didn't marry me. I don't know what you need the keys to my house for. I was just laughing. Their relationship is so hilarious to me. He loves to, it's like, he loves picking on her. And it's like, they're so cute. The relationship between him and his mother-in-law. I mean, you can tell that she was happy for her. I think that she was trying to hide it, but I think that she was happy for her daughter. And so, Sister Dominique did admit in her talking head that she really enjoyed the ceremony. It was just private and intimate, and she really enjoyed it. She said, but don't tell him that, because of course every woman wants that big day. But sometimes you don't need all of that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe just you and that person before God. But, she's still going forward with planning her regular ceremony that they had planned so that they can, celebrate with their friends and family and etc. But like I said, I really did enjoy that little small ceremony, and you could tell that again he was very, very much in love with her, and that he really wanted to be with her. You can tell that in his eyes, that he was very serious about what he was doing, and it was very sincere, and the whole string thing and all that. I mean, it was just, to me, just very humble, and I really like that. So, I wish them all the best. Hey, I mean, I tell people all the time, like, if you're gonna do it, do it. Sometimes some people, they can't wait. And so if you can't wait and you know that that person is the one for you, just do it. Do a private ceremony, you two, get it done. And if you want to plan a little ceremony, so you can celebrate your union with your friends and family, then do that. You know what I'm saying? But be honorable. And so I'm happy for them. I felt like that they did the right thing. If they're going to be together, just do it. What's the point of waiting? So congrats to them. I know people may not agree, but that's how I feel about it. You can't stop people from being with whoever they want to be with. So if nothing else, just try to make it right between you and God. You know what I'm saying? And so I felt like that was honorable what it did. It was a very humble move. They didn't fly off to Vegas somewhere. You know what I mean? They could have did that, but of course it wouldn't have been private. Somebody would have took pics, whatever. It would have probably got out there in the street. So I thought that was wise to have a very small, intimate ceremony at her mother's house where nobody would have known where they would have been. And so it was just right. Anyway, that's the end of that episode. The next episode is supposed to be a hoot. We're going to see some more from Bishop Jones. We're going to see a little bit more from the Cheneys. And so, we'll see. I think we're going to see some more from the Haddons as well. So at this point, they are officially married. They are already married, but from this going forward, we will refer to them as Mrs. and Mr. Haddon, or Lady Haddon, or whatever. All right. So thanks for tuning in. Until next time. Shalom.